Hey everyone, that's me. This is me. it's both me. There's no interloper on the stage here. So yes, the title of my talk is 50% by 2020. It's a bit of an opaque title, so if you saw it and you wondered what exactly it meant, I'm about to tell you. If you wandered in from outside, I'll tell you as well. 50% by 2020 comes from this famous stat. If you've spoken with anyone who's worked with voice over the past year, 2 years, you probably heard this stat somewhere in the neighborhood of 1,000 times. 50% of searches will be through voice by 2020. And the truth is that this stat is a little misleading. It's been taken out of context. What this stat originally meant was that 50% of Baidu searches would go through voice by 2020. But nonetheless, it's still an interesting stat because it shows, or it gives a glimpse into how quickly voice is growing. And we have some other stats that we can source. From PricewaterhouseCoopers, we see that 32%, nearly a third of people are searching via voice every single day. And even more, 71% would rather use voice to search than a keyboard. This is really amazing. What we hear so much in the voice space is that it's still early days for voice. And this is still very true. And the fact that already 71% of people are saying that voice is their preferred search input is pretty incredible. The question is, where are people searching? And what we see is that they're searching across a broad swath of applications. 57% of people are searching through voice on their smartphones. We've got nearly 30% on tablets, laptops, and desktop computers. And then we've got just over a quarter on smart speakers. And now these stats come from last year, so I would expect the number to be even higher now. Just a couple of weeks ago, a stat came out saying that there would be 8 billion, with a B, smart voice devices within the next 5 years. So we're seeing very rapid growth across all regions. So in this talk, I'm going to give you some firm information about how to implement a voice, and specifically voice search in the best way. But just very, very quickly, I'm going to tell you why you should listen to me, where I come from, and who I am. I work for a company called Algolia. We're a search-as-a-service API. What this means is that we power the search that powers over 6,500 different customers, 40 billion searches every single month. What happens is we have customers that are implementing us on their websites, on their mobile apps, on their voice applications, and when their customers are searching through those applications, they're actually searching through us. We provide the search engine. My name is Dustin Coates. As you saw, I work on voice search at Algolia. Essentially, my job, my goal is to make sure that we're building the right things regarding voice search, to listen to you in terms of your needs, and to speak to you as well about what voice search can do for your business. I'm also the author of a book for voice applications, and I host a podcast on voice as well. So I'm speaking with people who are in your shoes day in and day out, who are really pushing the boundaries of what voice can do. And my job then is to take all this information, to aggregate it, and to synthesize it, and share it with you today. The first question you should ask is where to voice. Where do you want to implement a voice search? And people first, they go to these smart devices, what we call voice-first devices. These are things like the Amazon Echo, the Google Home. But don't forget about mobile as well. We saw earlier that 71% would rather search through voice than keyboard, and 57% are searching through voice on mobile every single day. So voice has a very large presence on mobile too. And the part that I'm most excited about is the real-world applications. This idea that we can integrate an experience in the real world without a keyboard, without these clunky UIs that you often see in these situations is really exciting to me. Just a couple days ago, I spoke with a company who implemented voice for whiskey purchasing. And what they did was they installed an Amazon Echo in these stores in California, and people could go up and receive whiskey recommendations. And now for things like whiskey or camping or sporting goods or hardware, those are areas where if you don't know much, it's difficult to just jump in. Sometimes when you're speaking with someone who's an expert, they know everything and you sometimes don't even know the questions to ask. And what they were able to do is they were able to put this experience in the store to allow for people who maybe were a little timid, who didn't want to go speak with a whiskey expert, to get started, to sell more whiskey overall for that store. My advice to you is to start now. 60% of retailers were planning to implement mobile voice search in 2018. And so we expect that even more are either already implemented it or will implement it in 2019 as well. And again, going back to that stat previously, with 71% preferring voice to keyboard, your customers are going to expect that they will be able to search through voice when they land on your mobile app or mobile website. And this is about the same number for those voice-first integrations too. And my advice is really just put a mic on it. You already have a mobile application or you already have a mobile website. Put a microphone on it and allow people to start searching through voice. Here we have a customer of ours, Birchbox in France. They sell cosmetics and they put a mic on it. And their customers are able to search through their store using voice. We also have more advanced situations as well. This isn't necessary for everyone, but Spotify is a situation where they wanted not just the mic on it, but they wanted sort of an assistant in the store. So you can go everywhere from, let's just put a mic as a new input, to let's build our own assistant. Most people, especially in the e-commerce space, will be more this than this. On the alternative side, for voice first, the goal there is to think about branding. You probably heard or you probably had discussions about how voice doesn't really work for e-commerce. People aren't purchasing through voice. And that's true and it's false. On mobile, people are certainly purchasing with the aid of voice. They may not be completing the entire purchase flow through voice. We're not there yet. But they are interacting with a voice. On voice-first devices like the Echo and the Google Home, it's true, people aren't purchasing things as much through voice. Still, 29% of people are researching products by voice. This is an opportunity for you to enter the home of your customers or your prospective customers. And often these voice assistants, they're so human-like, we refer to them by pronouns. Alexa, she told me this. And so this is an opportunity for you to become a trusted advisor in the home of your customers. 43% of customers are expressing their interest. If they follow companies on social, they want to interact with them through voice as well. Colgate is a perfect example of this. Colgate sells toothpaste. No one is purchasing toothpaste on voice. Or if they are, they're purchasing the brands that they already know. But Colgate has this opportunity to really integrate with their with your daily life. You hopefully brush your teeth in the morning and the evening. And so if you have this sort of trigger that says, okay, I'm about to brush my teeth, let me speak with Colgate, then you're essentially building that brand loyalty through voice. You need to mind the user experience and the search relevance as well. The thing is, you can't simply take your website or your mobile app and put it on voice. Now, if you transport yourself 10 years ago, people were saying the same thing about mobile apps. You can't simply put your website on a mobile app, it's different. The thing here, though, is that it's so much more different. It's a complete different perspective. It's a complete different way of interaction. So let's talk about how to mine that relevance. Because the absolute worst thing with voice, and customers have said this over and over through stats and through qualitative research as well, is not receiving what they want to do, or not having the assistant, not having the experience do what they want to do. I discovered this the hard way. I unfortunately got the flu over the Christmas break, and I was all alone. My wife was back in the US, and I discovered when my Google Home wouldn't do what I wanted to do, that if you asked for it to turn off the blanking lights, it worked a lot better. But your customers should never have to get to that experience where they're cussing at your application. So the goal is to filter first. The way I think about it is you have products. You might have 1,000, you might have 10,000, you might have 1,000,000 products. But that is a giant haystack. And the user wants just that one thing. And with voice, they can only receive that one thing. If we think about websites, we think about apps, you can give them 10 results that they can scroll through. With voice, it's not that way. When I'm speaking with you, I can give you 1, maybe 2, maybe 3 results at once. And so what we want to do is we want to take that haystack and slowly filter it so that it becomes a more manageable haystack. Essentially, filter, 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 and then it's a lot easier to find that needle in that smaller haystack. The first way to do this is through matching filterable values. Essentially, take what the user is asking and then see if there's anything in that query that you can filter on. And some examples of this is, I want to buy a red dress for a cocktail party. There's a few things in there that we might filter on. Red is the color, dress is the type of clothing, and potentially even cocktail party. If you have this metadata, you can filter on all 3 of those things. So we see that it's really important to have that metadata as much as possible. However, if you don't have that organized, where you can explicitly filter on it, it's not the end of the world. You want to filter as much as you can. Maybe we just filter on red and dress, and then we leave the rest for a cocktail party as the query. Part of this as well is handling those wordy formations. The incredible thing to think about is that over the past 25, 30 years, we have actually trained people how to search. When you go through any search engine, whether you know it or not, you're searching through keywords. You're not putting in, I want a red dress for a cocktail party. You're putting in, maybe red dress cocktail party. Or most often people are just putting dress and they're leveraging those filters that you have on the page. That's not the way that voice works. With most voice experiences, people expect to be able to speak like we would speak with another person. And so they're going to put all of those values, everything that they're searching, right there within the query. But they're also going to put a lot of stuff in there that's not all that important. I want a red dress for a cocktail party. I want, obviously, right? So that's not really providing anything for the query. And for in the search engine biz, we call these stop words. Essentially, they're not providing any real value for the query. So in your search engine, just go ahead and axe those and remove them. So those are the stop words that we're removing. Also, we're ignoring plurals as well. This is a sort of an advanced tip, so to speak. Is it all that different if I say I'm searching for a red dress versus I'm searching for red dresses? At the end of the day, your product is listed as a dress. So dresses or dress, it doesn't really make a difference there. So all the search engine technology that you have out there has this built in, and you want to turn that on for those conversational queries. And then finally, go ahead and make all of the words that the person is searching on optional and sort by the number of matching words. This is something that people forget about when they're first building out the voice search, but it really is what takes your search from here to a much higher level. If I don't have cocktail party in a description, but I maybe have party or cocktail event, I don't want to have to match all of those words. What we know are that people use a lot of different words to search, and they're using these formulations that you might not have in your description or in your metadata. And for that, we're going to match synonyms as well. So cocktail party, cocktail event, evening event, after work party, maybe all of these things mean exactly the same thing as well. People think to match on synonyms for different formulations or for traditional synonyms, but voice also brings another thing you need to be aware of as well, which is speech-to-text misunderstandings. Right now, speech-to-text in the best cases are matching 95–96% accuracy, which is actually better than humans, but it's not as good as typed queries in there. So you want to go through your analytics, you want to understand what the speech-to-text is understanding and match it to what is actually in the records, what is in your products. So for example, if you were selling music, if you were selling records, and you allowed people to search on lyrics, someone might ask, what's the record where he sings, "Excuse me while I kiss the sky," but it understands while I kiss this guy. And so you would go in there and you would add a synonym between the sky and this guy so that you're able to match those accurately. So here we're having sweater is equal to long sleeve shirts, or dog is equal to fog, if you notice that that's being misunderstood a lot. You also want to make the conversations contextual and personal. When we speak after this talk, and I hope we will, I will already know some things about you, even if we just met. I know that you're in Berlin right now. I know that you probably have an e-commerce business. I know that you just listened to my talk. Those are things that I don't have to ask you about. We can cut through all of that and get to a deeper, more enriching conversation. You need to build that into your voice applications, your voice search as well. Understand what are the user's affinities. If I search for men's clothing over and over, if I come back and I just search for long sleeve shirts, you should probably show me men's clothing. Where was the user before now? Were they looking for red clothing and now they've asked for sweaters? Maybe let's go ahead and boost up red sweaters versus blue or black sweaters. When is the user searching? Even the time of day or the day that they're searching might have an impact too. If I'm searching for restaurants on a Wednesday afternoon, you're probably going to show me different ones than if I'm searching a Sunday morning. Maybe this is an after-work bar versus somewhere that serves brunch. And the user experience differs by mode. So just to recap, we've got voice first, voice only, and voice added. Voice first and voice only are those devices that you're going to have in home, or maybe even your TVs that have voice input there, whereas voice added is going to be on mobile. And our goal here is on voice first and voice only. Voice is the primary or only input and output mechanism. So we want to be 100% sure that that result that we're giving back is going to be the one that the user is asking for. With a voice added experience on mobile or desktop or laptop, maybe we can show 10 results or 3 results in addition to the voice response that we're giving as well. So again, my advice today is start today. put a mic on it, put a mic on your mobile app or your mobile websites. What we found with our customers is that implementing this, really all you need is 1 day. And you saw those stats. Your competitors are doing this, and your customers are expecting it as well. So go ahead and get started, and then optimize from there. So thank you, and I think we have time for questions as well. Oh, no time.